The following podcast may contain adult language and conversations revolving around situations not suitable for immature audiences. Spoilers and general political incorrectness can often be expected, so listener discretion is advised.
They must be destroyed on sight!
Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, a movie podcast. This is Intermission number 2. Like I said last week, taking a couple weeks off. It's a little small hiatus. We should be back to our regularly scheduled programming here very soon, hopefully next week, where we continue our sex comedy series. But for this week, I'm just going to cover a few little topics, just a little stopgap to hold any constant listeners we have out there, give them a little something to listen to, even if it's just me droning on for half an hour about nonsense. So we're going to start off here with some listener comments. We have one from Bylog, who says he's looking forward to our slasher film series, and it's right up his alley. He's also looking forward to the Revenge of the Nerds podcast. Although being as un-PC as he is, he'll be disagreeing with Daniel a lot on a lot of points. Hey, that's fine. We are not interested in preaching to a choir. We're not interested in having a bunch of hapless sycophants and yes men to sort of bolstering up our own opinions. So if you have a contrary opinion to something we say in one of our podcasts, please give it back to us. We want positive and negative comments, as long as it's constructive, as long as it's not just fuck you. We definitely welcome any sort of counter analysis, arguments, opinions on film. That's what this is all about, talking about film, right? Next we have from Corey Carr from Slaughter Film, and this is in reference to the Chuck Norris films I've been watching on Netflix as of late. He says he also appreciates Chuck Norris films more than he can say they're genuinely good. Another of his that walks a fine line between action detective story and slasher monster movie is Silent Rage. And that's interesting. I had actually never heard of that one, so I did a little looking up here on the old Wikipedia just to see what this was about, and he was right. I had no idea that Chuck Norris had actually done like a real legit kind of sci-fi horror kind of thing. Apparently he captures a killer, shoots him, and they do tests on him and make him some sort of superhuman monster from the looks of things, and it looks really interesting. I'm actually going to have to find this one and watch it. It's got Ron Silver. It's got Stephen Furst from Animal House in it, and it says it was even remade in 2009 as Indestructible. Interesting, very interesting. I'm going to have to check that out. They only have like a handful of Chuck Norris films on Netflix right now. I think they had a few others before, but they've since sort of taken some of them off, I guess. But yeah, okay, that sounds interesting. That sounds like it delivers where the hero and the terror kind of failed. I notice now the big push for movies on Netflix this month, as far as action films go, they got a bunch of Jet Li films, so I might look into some of those as well. Looks like it's actual good films, not as garbage he did over here, so that's really cool. Okay, thanks for the comments, guys. We're going to move over to a little segment now that I'm going to do for these, just to add a little beef to the time. I mean, no one wants to listen to a 10-minute podcast, do they? At least try to beef it out to about half an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my little bit of archives I have. I have tons of written movie reviews, and I used to actively post on a blog. I still have a blog up called the Hoagley Film Journal on Blogspot, but I don't really post reviews on there anymore. I always intend to get back to it, but I just don't have the time. But one incarnation or another, I had upwards of hundreds of reviews on it, and I just want to go back into some of the reviews because I've got them all saved on a text file here. And And yeah, I'm going to go into a couple of them. Just I'm essentially picking reviews that were of crappy movies. That's what I'm picking here. I'm not picking my glowing reviews of Dawn of the Dead or something like that. Okay, so I got 2 movies for us today. Essentially consider this like a public service warning, and these are usually a lot of these are like direct-to-video kind of stuff. So, okay, we're going to start with The Bleeding from 2009, starring Michael Mathis, Michael Madsen, Vinnie Jones, Armand Assante, DMX, Catherine von Drakenberg, who is Kat Von D, the tattooed girl, has that stupid show about tattoos. At least she did have that show. And Rachel Leigh, who is a UFC ring girl, or at least she was. This is directed by Charlie Picerni, I guess. Picerni, I don't know. So anyway, here's what I said about this film. What is the plot of this film? I really couldn't say for sure. It's loosely a very low-rent Blade and Fast and the Furious ripoff, with vampires and guns and vampire hunting, starring Michael Mathis as vampire hunter Sean Black. He's perhaps the worst possible choice for a lead actor in a direct-to-video action film one could hope to find. He is the living embodiment of what would happen if Vin Diesel suffered massive brain damage in an accident and had to work on low-budget films to pay off the medical bills. The only thing I can think of that got him the job is that he held the director's family hostage somewhere in Mexico and was mailing their fingers to him one by one until his demands were met. Actually, I guess he's producer on this film, so there you go. It wasn't his horrible lack of acting talent that got him the gig, that's for sure. Said lack of talent is highlighted by a horribly written story with crappy characters, bad effects, shitty editing, and a plot that may very well make sense, but I'm hard-pressed to believe anyone could stand watching closely enough to understand it. Guys like Vinnie Jones as King of the Vampires and Michael Madsen as a gun-toting priest can't even begin to carry this film. I think Armand Assante has just given up on acting and life in general. I wish DMX would. The female leads do no better. Rachel Leigh is a UFC ring girl. Not that that would mean she's automatically a horrible actress, but yeah, I don't see a future for her in film unless she's willing to get naked. As for Kat Von D, well, I don't even want to see her naked, and she should be lasered off this DVD like an unwanted tattoo. Avoid, abort. And the second movie, and this is another one with Michael Madsen in it, by the way. That might be a recurring theme as well. It's Terror Trap from 2010, starring Michael Madsen, David James Elliott, Jeff Fahey, Heather Marie Marston, Andrew Sensing, Lacey Minshew, Matt Triplett, and Mark D. Alessandro and Danny Cosmo, directed by Dan Garcia. And here's what I had to write about this film. Have you seen Vacancy? Have you seen the direct-to-video Vacancy 2, the first cut? Then you've seen this film already. A shameless and disjointed ripoff that makes most of the torture porn Hostel ripoffs look like original masterpieces. And of course, Vacancy was a bit of a torture porn and a Hostel ripoff itself, wasn't it? Well, if this is its own subgenre now, motel torture porn, I guess, then Vacancy is Hostel, and this is somewhere at the tail end of the Saw series. But hey, we get Michael Madsen in this for 5 seconds as the owner of a capture-and-kill motel setup where innocent victims are trapped at the motel and killed for sick fucks observing via two-way mirrors. Jeff Fahey is the only shining light here, making the most of his scene-chewing psycho cop who rounds up victims and keeps the motel protected from the law and any other peeping eyes. He's essentially playing R. Lee Imrie's character from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Beginning from 2006. I can forgive that ripoff, though, because Fahey is fucking awesome. Michael Madsen, when did you stop giving a shit? Avoid, abort. Okay. So when I do these sort of intermission casts, I want to know, do you want to see more of this stuff from my old archives? If you're interested, just me ripping on really bad movies and you find that enjoyable, then let me know and I'll try to include more as we go along. And if you don't like it, tell me and I'll probably cut them out, or I might just keep doing them because I'm a bit of a prick that way. This is Walter Solchek, and when I'm not bowling, looking after my ex-wife's Pomeranian, or complaining about the Vietnam War and how important it was to me, I'm listening to They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, a movie podcast. Am I the only one who gives a shit about the rules around here anymore? Alright, so now we're going to move on to Fury Road. I just wanted to say a few words about that film, Mad Max Fury Road. Watched it twice now this week. Very, very awesome, mind-blowing film. I'm not going to give you a full review here, but I will look at my written review on Letterboxd and just give you a couple little excerpts from that. I say how I expected the worst, but somehow the movie gods saw fit to allow George Miller free reign to fuck our collective mind vaginas with a non-stop action film that doesn't bother with too much exposition, deeper messages, or an excess of CGI. And don't take that to be that there are no messages in it. There's definitely elements of religious dogma, feminism. There's just a general sort of humanistic message in it as well. I don't think it's particularly overtly political in any way, hammering on your head that this is a feminist movie, this is an anti-religion movie, this is a human rights movie. It's more just a really great action movie that leaves itself open-ended and lets the viewer decide what they want to basically take from it. And I think the best movies do that. About 80% of it is actually practical effects. When I first watched the trailer, I expected it to be all CGI. It looked like it was all CGI to me, or mostly CGI, but from what I've learned, 80% practical effects, mostly stunt work, a little bit of CGI to sweeten up some of it, but other than that, just balls to the wall insane. I have never seen action sequences quite as good as this. George Miller, I don't know how he storyboards this stuff, if he does it in his head or if he does it on actual storyboards. Either way, I don't know how it makes sense. But when you actually see it on the screen, it does make sense. And from what I hear, Tom Hardy, who plays Mad Max in this film, he apparently had trouble even understanding half the time what he was doing in the film. And he actually, I guess he had some conflict between him and George Miller from time to time, but he actually publicly apologized after watching the film, because when you look at it all up there on screen, visually it all makes sense, and goddamn does it look good. It looks so great. And it is a good film as far as portraying all the characters fairly realistically, especially given the world they find themselves in. You've got equally female and male characters on a strong footing, and they're not all just one-note nothings. They're not just political bullhorns to be drummed out to people. Very, very cool. I'm sure we'll probably do a proper review of this at some point where we just go into nauseating details of just everything that's going on in the film, but it's definitely worth checking out. It lives up and exceeds all the hype it's been getting, and I am happy to say I was pleasantly surprised about how damn good it was, because I was expecting it to suck, quite frankly. But somehow George Miller managed to make a film that does not seem to have any studio tampering, at least none that you see on the screen. There's no stupid tacked on romance angles like in the last Avengers film. It's not really full of exposition, just sort of weighing it down. It's very much just one big chase with a couple little breathers, but that's about it. And as far as a pure action film goes, it's great. It reminds me of The Raid 2. It reminds me of not Judge Dredd, but Dredd from a couple years back, which basically just throws you right into the action. And it's great. I also love that Mad Max is not necessarily a central character in the story. He's an equal part of a unit of main protagonists trying to get away from this crazy motherfucking warlord and his army of brainwashed zealots. So definitely worth checking out. If you had any trepidation, don't go and see it. I only wish I could have saw it on the big screen instead of finding a shitty ripped copy on the old internet, or a cam copy or wherever the fuck it was I saw in Putlocker. But even with the shitty quality that I saw in Putlocker, I still watched it twice because it was that damn good.
Okay, let's get this show on the road, gang.
I want to know what you guys think. I want to have some feedback. I want ideas for Slasher Film Month. Now, me and Paul have been sort of just barely touching the surface of deciding what we want to do for Slasher Film Month. Basically, we want to know what films you guys want to see. We are going to pick out some films that we want to do, of course, but looking for suggestions, because we don't want to just do the same films everyone does. Throw a couple oddball slashers there that we might be able to find and do. It'd be helpful if they are ones that are readily available on YouTube. That way both Paul and I can both see them. Or ones that we have in our collections. And we do have extensive collections, by the way, so just throw anything out there and we'll see if we can find it. You can make a whole list of slasher films that you want to see. Obscure slasher films, most welcome, because we don't want to just do all the Friday the 13th or all the Halloweens or some bullshit like that. There's plenty of other podcasts that have done that, and they've done a much better, more extensive job than we could ever hope to do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll do maybe one of the Friday the 13th. We might do Halloween. We might do Just Before Dawn. Maybe The Prowler or something like that. But throw some other ones at us. What do you want to see us do? And you got plenty of time to send in ideas. And I'll keep reminding you every podcast for people who might miss this one. And yeah, we are planning on doing the series in August. That'll be our next big series after we finish off the sex comedies. So, whatever you guys want to see, we're open to adding a few of those if we think it would be a good addition to the series. So, let us know. And also, throw us some Movie God. If you've been listening to the last few episodes, you know we've been playing a game that Daniel suggested, which was really cool, called Movie God. And basically, you give someone two things: 2 actors, 2 directors, 2 movies, 2 soundtracks, 2 composers, something movie related. And that person has to get rid of one of them, erase them from the timeline. And what happens if that person, that movie, that script, whatever, never happened? How does that affect everything that comes after it? And it's a really cool game. I'm really enjoying it. And we want to see you guys throw some of those at us too. Give us some ideas. Give us a couple actors. Give us a couple films that you think would maybe give us a hard time trying to answer. The harder the better, actually. So we have to actually think it out and talk about it and discuss it. And it just, it's more movie discussion. It's more fun. And yeah, look forward. I'm going to remind people to do that too every episode from now on. So, okay guys, I think we're going to cut it here. Thanks for listening to me just ramble on about bullshit yet again. I hope this wasn't too long and too boring for you. I don't know when I'm going to do another one of these. I'm going to try to throw a couple of these in more often now, just for the hell of it. I'm trying to get more used to doing some of these on my own, so I can, whenever I have a few thoughts in my head, I can just record and do one instead of having to work around schedules of Paul and Dan, which can be a little daunting at times, because hey, we all actually have lives, so so yeah. Okay guys, you can find us with all of our contact information on the trailer that's going to follow here, and we should be back next week with some more sex comedies. Alright guys, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now to pause and refresh. For your convenience, we have an attractive refreshment stand in the lobby with buttered popcorn, golden good and hot from the popper, your favorite candies, wholesome and rich with a flavor treat for every taste, ice cream and other good things to eat, plus delicious Coca-Cola. So bright and bracing with the tang and tingle unmatched by any other beverage. Enjoy ice-cold Coca-Cola at our refreshment stand right now.
Thank you for listening to They Must Be Destroyed on Sight. For our other episodes, links to Daniel, Paul, and Lee's other stuff, and links to some great podcasts of similar interest, visit us at tmbdos.podbean.com. There you can leave us comments on the site or directly email us. We listen and respond to everything. Thank you. Drive through.